What is up, my beautiful light family? Are you jealous AF? Is your partner jealous AF? Hi everyone, I'm Nicole with Twin Flame Revolution. I am one half of Twin Flame Revolution. I'm a consciousness mentor, badass coach. I help get you out of you, right? Get past all those core issues that are going on within, right? To heal, right? When I say heal, I'm just talking about you remembering, allowing yourself to express yourself, connect with yourself, and then connect with source and all kinds of things. Connecting with me, connecting with your peeps, connecting with your beloved connection. It's all about the connection. So today I wanted to talk about jealousy, and I wanted to, one of the main things when we have something come up within ourselves is to understand it. It's so important for us to understand where it's coming from, to understand why we're going through it, and so that we could look at it, right? So that we could do something about it. Because many of us, right, we look at our stuff and we're like, that's not working for me, or we don't even know it's not working for us. And we don't know how it got there. And if we can't tell how it got there, we're not gonna be able to get it to go, right? So we have to see it to free it. And jealousy has so many components where it could be coming from. So I'm gonna talk about 6 different perspectives on where jealousy comes from. So 1, lack of confidence, lack of worth, lack of thinking that one is enough. And when we go into any kind of relationship, whether it is a relationship with a beloved, if it's a relationship with a friend, or it's a relationship with a business, and we don't feel good enough, jealousy will come up. Envy and jealousy will come up and will manifest from that space in the and what happens is the thoughts become distorted. Like, okay, I'm not enough. Well, if I'm not enough, then they're going to need somebody else. And if they need somebody else, then they're probably having sex with somebody else. And if you're having sex with somebody, then all of a sudden we're like, whew. And so coming to a place that you are enough, right? In any relationship, right? We have to be enough, right? Sometimes we'll go into relationships thinking, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, own the factory. We go into a relationship thinking, like in the beginning when they make you feel really good, right? The oxytocin's popping. Oh, you're having orgasms. You're just like feeling yourself for that moment because like the sex might be really good. And all of a sudden this person's like, you're so sexy. You're so beautiful. You're so amazing. And then all of a sudden, like all that stuff kind of slows down and stops, and you're left with how you really feel about yourself. And then jealousy comes up like, right? Because now we are a reflection of what is going on inside. We're going to see it outside of ourselves. And when we don't feel worthy, again, jealousy will rear its head. 2. What about us projecting our own shadiness? You guys know what I'm talking about. And you don't have to be, cheating on anybody or partaking in some infidelity. You could just be dishonest in any way. You could be any little bit that you are lying, a white lie, a blue lie, a friggin' shady lie. I'm just going to withhold shit. Any kind of dishonesty within self is going to make your mind think that she or he is being dishonest as well. If you're doing it, they're doing it. If you're doing it, they could be doing it. And so if you are texting late at night with somebody you ain't supposed to be texting, flirting with people, and knowing full well that if your partner did the same thing that you are doing, you would be really pissed off. Understand that you are going to be a jealous person. There is no way that you are not going to be a jealous person. If you are doing shady shit, you are going to be jealous because you are going to look at your partner and go, whatever I could be doing, they could be doing. This could be conscious or subconscious. It is actually happening. And so this is something that we need to look at. Are you being dishonest? Are you being dishonest with yourself, first and foremost? Because I remember I used to be able to talk myself into anything, make it so that it was okay. Oh, well, you know what? She doesn't give me this, she doesn't give me that, so it's okay if I get it somewhere else. You guys know what I'm talking about. I don't want to leave her because I'm married, or I don't want to leave her because we have kids, and I don't really want, but you know, I'm not getting what I need, so I'm just going to get some emotional I remember there was a time where Dove was just like, you know, she said to me, she was like, when I was, and I'll share this with you guys, and most of you know it, but if you don't know Dove and I's story, you know, I cheated on my wife and ended up leaving, and we separated, but we got back together. And I remember that in the beginning, I was having an emotional relationship with someone, and it wasn't sexual at first. And, you know, that was the part that hurt my wife the most, was that I was sharing, you know, this intimacy with somebody else. And so understand that, first of all, if you're doing anything shady, your partner's feeling you. So if they're being weird around you, it's because there's a knowing, a deep knowing, whether they actually consciously know or not. And secondly, we do need to chickadee check ourselves if we are doing even if it has nothing to do with relationships and you're just lying about something. Have you guys ever, you know, maybe let's say, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. I remember when I would relapse and not tell Dove, and I would be, you know, using drugs, and she would ask me, she's like, are you cheating on me? And it was just interesting to see that me just lying about something, right? Me lying in general made her think that I was doing something so shady. So really checking ourselves, are we being honest, right? Where do we need to be honest? You know, and understand that, you know, you deserve to be honest. You deserve to have whatever's going on in your life and in your relationship be seen and heard, whether it's painful or not, giving the other person the ability to show up, right? The ability to handle the situation as it really is, and to allow for this jealousy piece to go once and for all, because it doesn't need to be there. So number 3, ancestral patterns when it comes to jealousy. I remember my pops. He was, I'm pretty sure that he saw men being jealous, and, you know, he was jealous, and it was kind of this macho thing to do, like, no, you're mine, you know, like the caveman thing, like throw over your shoulder. And, you know, also, you know, I witnessed a lot of, you know, infidelity going on throughout my experience when I was younger, just watching, you know, adults, you know, throughout my life. And I remember saying, like, I'll never do that. That's so messed up. And being a witness to it, it kind of, gives us permission, right? You see things on the news. All of a sudden, one person does one thing, and then, you know, you'll see it in the news over and over, like school shootings. Why is that? Why are you seeing more and more kids committing suicide? Because the more you see people do it, the more you give yourself, or you are starting to get that permission, like, well, they did it, I can't. And what happens is that gate opens. It's an open gate, and we're like, I'm not going to go through that. I don't want to do that. But the gate's still open, and one day you just jump through the gate and you do it. And so we, as a, you know, in our family and our lineages, have to consciously disconnect from these behaviors and say, no, saying no. Like, no, I'm not gonna come out of alignment like that. I'm not gonna be dishonest. And when we decide within ourselves, that's a no. First of all, we're not partaking in that, right? And also, we're not gonna be thinking about it and thinking about, like, our partner doing that. We get to take a deep breath and know that there is a possibility that people in relationships can treat each other with integrity and love and be there for one another in an honest connection. Speaking of connection, the 4th one is lack of connection, lack of intimacy will lead to jealousy. Okay? This is a part of any relationship, right? Forget about sex. We'll just talk about intimacy. Intimacy is into me, I see. So what does that mean, right? It means that I see you. I am hearing you. I am witnessing you. There is something about being witnessed by another human being. It is the most yummiest, tasteful, yummy. It is so yummy to have that moment where you're speaking and someone's going, I hear you. Holy shit, I see you. You can breathe. You're being witnessed. It's love. It's connection. It's necessary. It is so necessary in any relationship, friendship, right? When your friends are not paying attention as you're speaking, you're going to get pissed off, right? And then you see them, like, talking to one of your other friends and they're connecting and you're jealous, right? In a relationship, you're going to get jealous. You're going to be jealous of their time. You're going to be jealous of, or They're going to be jealous because you're not giving them that. And it's a part of relating. It's a part of life. It's a part. So how can we bring, and now let's talk about sexual intimacy in a relationship, because that's really important, because there is something that happens mentally with both men and women, more so with men, that when the sex isn't there, right? The mind, there's a thought form. And it's also a truth in some in some instances, if your partner's not having sex with you, your mind goes to, well, who are they having sex with? Right? It's like, and it's partially a thought form, but then it's partially it happens because we all have sex drive. There's not many people, like you talk about, there are people out there that don't have much of a sex drive, they're very asexual, but for the most part, most of us have this carnal energy that's pumping in our being, and we are with someone, and it is one way because we can share love with our partner in many different ways, and there's intimacy without sex that happens that I was just talking about, but then there's also this sex intimacy, being able to connect, and it is so spiritual, and it is so mixing of cells, and it is so mixing of DNA, and it is a whirling of atoms and beauty, and it is a connection with all things. And so, if you're not having that with your partner's going to start to get jealous. You'll start to get jealous, right? If your partner's is withholding sex with you, your mind starts to go a little crazy. You start to think about, maybe I can get it somewhere else. So you start looking because you're wanting it. And here we go again. You're looking. If I'm looking, they're looking. Jealousy. It's really important that if there's issues around sex in your relationship or intimacy, that you make sure that doesn't get thrown under the rug. Oftentimes we make sex and not like a high priority. We make intimacy not a high priority. I have other things that need to take place. I have to work. I have to take care of the kids. I have to do all this shit. And it's like that one piece. If you can master that intimacy piece. Okay, here, I'll give you an example. When your friend had sex. They come in the room, they're like, what's that? How you doing? Hey. And you're like, I remember once I was working in New York City. I was not doing this. I was I was helping people lose weight, right? I was helping them with their diet. And anyways, so I'm in Midtown, and I remember a client coming in, and she had this heaviness about her. And she was just, you could feel it. It was a weight. And then one day she came in, her makeup was did, and she just like was walking in, and you could see her movement. It was like graceful, and she's like, hey, and like all this stuff, and I just looked at her, I was like, you had sex? She was like, I sure did, a lot of it. And it was like this moment of like, something happens. We get to feel ourselves. We feel sexy. We're engaging in sex. You were witnessed, not just I see you, I hear you, I feel you. You're being witnessed in that way. Maybe you got off. Yay for you. But when you're having that in a relationship, there's a bond that happens energetically, physically, mentally, right? It's just this, the auric fields are just dancing with each other. There's this dance that happens, this deep, deep connection, right? Oftentimes I'll say when Dom and I have sex, it's like, I feel God. I feel like connection. All of a sudden my mind just goes, woo, I lose consciousness for that split second where like I'm connecting with her, I'm grounded, I'm there, and I was like, boom, and I feel God. And so having that moment with your partner is so it's important that that's a priority. Number 5, lack of integrity within the relationship. So what's integrity? All right. So integrity is set between two parties when both have really communicated values. So we're not talking about you need to do this. I expect this from you. I expect this. No, hey, I'm an honest person. I really would like to have an honest relationship with you. Right? It's important that I listen and hear you. It's important that you listen and hear me. It's important that we have intimacy. It's important that we have sex. It's important that if you're not satisfied that you tell me. It's important. These are integrity things where we start to set them down. We start to have conversations about what feels good and what doesn't feel good for the relationship. Really, I didn't like it when you did that in front of your family and you said those things. I didn't like it when you told those people at work about all of our shit, right? I didn't, just sharing it doesn't mean that you have to stop what you're doing, but starting the communication to start to build a structure, an integrity, foundation, structure in a relationship so that both of you know what the hell is going on. Jealousy comes in often when we don't know what's going on with the other person. We won't know because you need to say it. I remember when I used to tell Dove and I was like, hey, you should already know. You should know. And it's like, no. First of all, Dove and I, we're the same in a lot of ways, but we have different needs, wants. When I'm upset, I need time and space. When she's upset, she wants me to hold her. Totally different people. Right? So we need to express these things. I need to tell her, hey, when I get really angry, instead of us trying to figure out, I need to go like breathe for 10 minutes before we have that chat. For her, she's like, it's really important that you don't leave for hours because I need to talk to you and make sure that we are okay. So we mix all these needs, right? We do a dance and we're like, okay, cool. 10, 15, 20 minutes. I might need that hour sometimes, but I'm definitely going to come back to you to talk to you, to make things right, because I know you need that. So the communication needs to be there. We need to set that integrity, right? Now, the sixth one, I'm going to explain this, right? So using jealousy as like control, that's not the same, right? So sometimes we'll be like, well, this is what I expect of you. This is what I was saying. I expect you not to do this, not to talk to men, not to talk to gay women, not to talk, whatever the hell, I'm just making shit up. Not to do this, you can't do that because that makes me uncomfortable. And it's like, okay, if it is coming from a place of fear, jealousy, if it comes from your insecurities that you are now wanting to control aspects of your partner's life, then we start to have a problem because that starts to seep in to sovereignty and free will. It starts to, and I promise you, if you control your partner anyway and you start putting these really high expectations of what it looks like to be with you or what you have to have or it's not gonna work, and I'm not talking about your values. I'm talking about when we go into insecurity and fear and being like, you can't have any male friends, you can't have any female friends, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go out. It's like, okay, maybe some of those things are valid, but when we are coming from a place of fear, your partner's gonna know, they're not gonna like, they're gonna resent it, they're gonna fight you, they're gonna resist you, or they're gonna bow down to it and resent you and totally become depressed and inward and oppressed and go into this victimization mode. And then you will not honor your partner when they go there. I promise you, if you're controlling your partner in any way, that at the end of the day, that controlled energy, you will not want to polarize with, you will not see them as a strong person, and you will not want to be with them. You end up wanting to leave. And part of us have to look, now I'm saying this to you, and this might not be you, it might be you. This was me. This was me. You know, my wife is the most, oh my God, trustworthy person I've ever met. I was so insecure when I met her. Everything that I'm explaining to you 10 times over, I was experiencing in my life, right? I was a perfectionist too, on top of everything. I had to be perfect. And if I saw someone that looked more perfect than I did, oh, I was jealous, right? Because I wasn't worthy. I didn't feel good about myself. And I would just, you know, I would be jealous all the time over things that didn't warrant jealousy. I would never put expectations on Dove, but sometimes like I'd want to, and I'd get aggressive and angry and frustrated. And then when she would actually kind of like go into any kind of surrender to my fears and my insecurities, there was also a lack of respect that I had for that while I was in my wound, and it sucked. And I look back now and I've had to make amends with Dove over this, tell her how sorry I was for being like that and treating her that way, and then not respecting what I had created in her. Not that she didn't allow it and not that she didn't choose it as well, but I also had a part in it. And I had to look at that part. And when I started to build that confidence, so number one, that confidence, building that confidence was so important for me. And having to look at the fact that I was projecting all my crap because I was doing shady shit as projecting those things, right? I see people project all the time because of what they're going through. Disconnecting from my ancestry, disconnecting from what I had saw, not giving myself permission to be that way because it was out of alignment for me. Creating connection with my wife, intimacy with my wife, sexual intimacy with my wife. Building integrity, building an integrity container with her, listening to her needs, hearing my own needs and my own values, and sharing that with one another, and allowing each other to show up for one another. And looking at the parts that were still insecure, and looking at the parts that were controlling, and looking at the parts that weren't allowing freedom within myself or within her, and sharing that with one another and working on it. Allowed for trust. And we trust each other now. Oh my God, do we trust each other? You know, and even leaving the door open that, hey, if you ever had a feeling or like you really, just like an attraction towards somebody else in some sort of way, to be able to talk about it and be able to look at it, right? And not make it more than what it is. You guys, we meet our soulmates all the time. We are interacting all the time with people. It doesn't mean that it's a sexual thing. No! You might be with someone for years, and all of a sudden somebody walks in your life that you've had multiple lifetimes with, and you're like, oh my God, I know you. And you talk to your partner about it, and then you realize that, wow, you know what? We've had many lifetimes together, and I have this deep soul connection. Cool, yeah, it doesn't need to be anything more than that. Don't need to be jealous, don't need to freak out, get to talk about it, have a chat about it. You guys are so big. You're so strong, you're so capable, you're so conscious to be able to work through these things and be able to release this jealousy. And if you're on the other end of it and your partner's jealous, understanding that they may have had all of these 6 things in their life. There's so much energy around this. It's like starting to come out of my lungs, a lot of grief. That you could have compassion for your partner. That you can go, oh, I get why they're being really jealous. And then there's room for empathy, there's room for compassion, and there's room for growth. Anyways, if you love this, please subscribe, share, like, send me love. I love you guys so deeply. Light and love. Bye.